Hello everybody, how is it going? I am Lucas, and today we are going to be looking at some pretty iconic amps. We're going to be looking at the EVH 5153. Now, for those who don't know, EVH came out with his signature amp with PV way back in the early 90s. He had a PV 5151, he had the 5152 with PV, then he left, and then he founded his own company in partnership with Fender, and he launched the 5153s. Now, the 5153s are mega popular. Tons of bands use them or have used them. Gojira uses them, as for one. Tons and tons of people use them. These amps are massively popular. It's pretty much one of the first amps people think of when you're thinking of a metal amp. In the Axe-Fx 3 itself, we have the 50 watt blue channel that's modeled. We have and then for the 100 watt, we have the green, the blue, and the red. What you just heard, that was actually from the red channel. We also have the blue channel modeled from the 50 watt. And the 50 watt is kind of an enigma because it has more gain than the 100 watt because the circuit's a little bit different. So the 50 watt blue channel in here, it's like magic, man. It sounds so great. It's one of the coolest amps in here is a 5150 50 watt blue, in my opinion. And I used it back on my Axe-Fx 2. That was like my secondary distortion patch. Luckily enough, in my I actually sat in and dialed in and got it to sound pretty killer. We're going to be bouncing between two patches. We're going to be bouncing between my patch. I have all the 5150s in here. That's why I call it my best one. And we're bouncing between another one that I have the green and blue from the 100 watt on it. But for the IRs for everything, I'm going to be using the 412 Zilla V30 with the 57 modern microphone, and that is going to be from Ownhammer, and I'm using the 001. For me, this IR is like killer. Like, it has this crisp high into it. It can get kind of bright and bitey on some amps, but it sounds fantastic for me. I really, really love it. Another thing we need to talk about is I'm using firmware 11, and on firmware 11 and the Axe-Fx 3, we got something a little special. We have the speaker impulse curve. Now, you can come in and you can actually change it. And here you can change it to like a Soldano if you want, and as you see, it changes right here. I'm just gonna leave it. Where is it? Where's the 5150? There it is. I'm just gonna leave it on that. I absolutely love that this is in here now because it changes the low end a lot. It makes the low end like a lot fuller, and it makes it a lot tighter because I had the bass jacked up a lot on here. I had it jacked up to around 7 or 8, but after the update came from firmware 11, I turned them way, way, way down, and they sound pretty fantastic in my opinion. The 50 watt and the 100 watt also come in an EL34 flavor variety. They're a little bit different too from the normal ones. They're like black, and they have like a gold faceplate to them. I'm gonna mess around with a little bit in there so you can kind of see how it sounds. But for now, let's dial back things a little bit and let's change patches to the let's go to the green channel. We'll have the green channel. Yes, a 50 blue, and this is the green channel. There we go. So on the actual amp itself, the green channel is the clean channel, and on the 5153s, the clean channel is actually really good compared to like the original 5150. That clean channel was garbage, but this one on here, it's actually really, really good. Oh, the guitar I'm playing, by the way, is my Headless Black Cat, and I have Toast and Fishman pickups in it. And this is what the green channel sounds like on my the split coils. It's the two inner coils. Clean channel in here is actually, it's fairly decent for a high gain amp. And when I roll through these different channels that are modeled from the 5153, I'm gonna use it as if I'd be using the amp in real life. So I mean, the clean channel, did I even EQ this? No, I didn't. I literally just dialed it in from the authentic tab. Once again, this is the IR that's going to be used for everything. It's pretty nice. I mean, obviously we have the Axe-Fx 3, so we have like some of the best clean amps ever in existence, but if you have this amp in real life, the green channel is actually pretty neat. You can get like a crunch sound off of it. Like if I go to my bridge pickup, you can get it, but it sounds weird. And you see, it kind of throws the level off a little bit because I haven't liked the input, as you can see, as it's at 1. So I would primarily use this channel as like my clean channel, and if I wanted a little bit more dirt, I would like kick a drive pedal on. Side note, I'm not using a drive on any of the amps. I used to use these with a drive pedal in front, but I don't know if I'm getting old or whatever it is, but I find they sound great without a drive. They just do to me. Now let's move on to the 100-watt. No, I want to go to the blue. I'm sorry. That's blue. Here we go. Okay, let's go to the blue. I jumped the gun a little bit. So for the blue channel, to me, this is kind of like the crunch channel. You see, I don't have a whole lot of gain on here. Now you can push it really hard and you can get it to, you know, like in high gain standards, but I find the red channel excels excellently well at that. At being like super high gainy and doing leads and stuff like that. And I find the blue, it works well as a crunch. I'm gonna let you see what it sounds like. It's on my bridge pickup. See, it can get pretty crunchy, especially when you're using like your bridge pickup. You see, if you come to the split coils again. See, you can probably even almost use that in a worship band. You probably have to dial it back a little bit more, but I love the blue channel for that type of stuff. Watch, I mean, you can push it. Let's push it up. And, of course, this is, like, insanely too much gain. You see what I mean? Like the texture of it, I find it's perfect for like classic rock and like for low gain stuff, and just leave all the brutal stuff to the red channel. Once again, I'm not using speaker. I do have a little bit of EQ on here. I just cut a little bit of mids for the blue channel. Let me let you hear what it sounds like without the EQ. I heard as soon as I turned the EQ off, the honkiness came in. It might be a little bit too bright. I fight with this a lot. Like sometimes I'll have my stuff too bright. I try not to make it too bright. So that was a clean. We did the blue. Let's migrate to my other patch, the patch that we started with, because that's where all the good high gain tones are. Whoops, it's the wrong one. There we go. You see, I did have the drive on it, and I turned it off, like I said before. So we are back to the 5150 red. Let's go to the 5150 blue. This is a screaming monster. I fought with the input gain on here. And I'm going to show you the EQ too, but for the input gain on here, I find anything under 3 for me, I didn't get along with it very much. It sounded a little bit too thin to me. I don't know if it's in my head, but 3 is good enough for me. And once again, I try not to push my input too high, because I find sometimes when you play with a lot of gain, it muddies your playing, and it for me anyway, with playing with at least less amount of gain forces me to play harder, pick harder. IR is the same. Let's go to right here. So this is the EQ. I cut a little bit of 8K out, and as you can see, I have my little diving V right here. I had this higher than this, but like I said, once Firmware 11 came along, bass response was so much better. So I'll cut out a little bit of the mid right there. I'm gonna play it once again. I'm gonna turn the EQ off. Has like tons of mids. I know this may seem like it's sort of a sharp like cut out of it, but this is where it sounded good to me on my system. So don't be afraid to cut a lot out if it gets the sound that you want. Use your ears, not so much your eyes. I know that's kind of weird since we're talking about an editor, but remember, always use your ears when you're looking for a sound. That is really it. And I dialed in an authentic tab. If you come in the ideal, the bright switch is on, but I didn't really mess with anything else. I didn't really push the presence all that much. Now let's experiment with power tubes. So when both 5153s launched, they came with 606s, and like I said before, you can get them with EL34s. Really quick, before I forget this, Cliff didn't model the red channel out of the 50 watt because he said that the red channel between the 50 watt and the 100 watt were pretty much the same, so he just modeled it out of the 100 watt. And I find the 100 watt red channel sounds really great. Yeah, he made the right decision there. Definitely good call, Cliff. So we have EL34s in here. I'm gonna try my best to demonstrate it, see if you could actually hear a difference. On real life shootouts between your real life amps, there's a slight difference. There's a little bit more mid bump using the EL34s, and the EL34 is what a lot of Marshalls use. It's more of an English type of tube. I say English, but you can use them. Americans use them too, but that's just kind of the flavor that a lot of the Marshalls have. So let me play back and forth. I thought I might have heard a slight difference there for a bit, but it's so hard to tell. It's so minor to me. I mean, if you heard the difference, then that is great. But let's move on to the 100 watt, and let's do the same thing. Now, I'm pretty sure the circuits between the 606 and the EL34 5153s are the same. So I'm sure you could screw around with the power tube section in here and you could get it to sound exactly right. But for everything that I have heard, like I've said before, the difference between both of the amps is pretty minute. But hey, if you definitely have heard the difference, let me know in the comments down below. I think it'd be pretty cool to check out. That is going to about wrap things up for the 5153s. Just a little side note, they do have a 5153 Stealth. That's the one that's all in black, and the differences from what Eddie explained is that the Stealth has a little bit more gain, and channels 2 and 3 are more similar. It's pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Eddie said. I don't exactly know how true that is. Those aren't modeled in the Axe-Fx because I think it would kind of be redundant because it's pretty much the same thing as the 100 watt. And I believe that they based the EL34 versions of the amps off of the Stealth. If you're interested, I did a big video breaking down the history of the 5150. I will put that at the end, and I'll put that up at the top if you definitely want to check this out. If you're interested in this patch, let me know. I'll throw it up on Exchange and I'll link it down below. Now, make sure you subscribe. If you like this video, smash like and make sure you subscribe because, like I said, I'm going to be going through all of the amps in the XFX3. These are some of my favorites. My favorite 5150 is the block letter, but we're going to be getting to that one later on down the road, which I find interesting. A little side note, if you're looking at how things are labeled in here, I guess this is a carryover from the XFX2, but they're called the 6160s in here. See, oh, it's PVH. That's why it's like that. They're in the P's. See, these are called 5153s. They're called PVH. Interesting naming scheme. It would kind of make sense if the 6160s came like right after the 5153s. That is going to wrap things up for the 5153s. Let me know what's your favorite settings for these amps. Do you like these amps? I love them a lot. Let me know in the comments down below. And as for me, I'm going to have to be out. Peace.